Everything looks great. The baby is developing right on schedule.
That's wonderful news.
We're so happy. Look at that. Oh my God. Congratulations. This is wonderful news.
Hello, dear viewers. Today's story follows the loving journey of Huyen and Day after their happy wedding. From the peaceful early days of married life, Huyen's simple wish for a more complete family slowly becomes reality. Just 1 month later, unexpected good news arrives, bringing overwhelming joy as Day officially becomes a father. Through gentle, heartwarming, and emotional moments, the story marks the beginning of a new chapter where love is no longer just a promise, but is sealed by a precious little life growing day by day. If you enjoy healing, peaceful, and deeply emotional family stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave a comment to share your thoughts. Your support is our greatest motivation to continue bringing you meaningful and touching stories. See you in the next videos. After their joyful wedding, Huyen and Day officially stepped into married life, carrying with them a quiet happiness that settled gently into every corner of their home. The celebration had ended, the guests had returned to their own lives, but the warmth of that special day lingered, woven into their everyday moments. Each morning began with soft smiles over breakfast. Each evening ended with whispered conversations and shared dreams. To them, marriage was not a dramatic change, but a deeper continuation of the love they had already built, now steadier, more certain, and filled with promise. Their home was often filled with the laughter of Maya, Huyen's beloved daughter. Her bright eyes and innocent questions brought life and color into the house, turning even the simplest routines into moments worth cherishing. Yet, as Huyen watched Maya play alone in the garden or sit quietly with her toys, her heart would sometimes soften with a gentle longing. She imagined her daughter growing up with a sibling, someone to run beside her, argue with, protect, and confide in. The thought of Maya having a little brother or sister sharing secrets under the same roof slowly became a dream Huyen held close to her heart. One quiet evening, as the sky outside faded into warm shades of orange and gold, Huyen finally shared her thoughts with Day. They sat side by side, their hands loosely intertwined, listening to the familiar sounds of their homes settling into night. Huyen spoke softly, carefully, as if afraid her words might break the fragile beauty of the moment. She told him how much she wished for Maya to have a sibling, how she hoped their family could grow not only in love, but also in presence. Day listened without interrupting, his gaze calm and thoughtful, his hand tightening gently around hers in reassurance. For Day, the idea touched something deep within him. He loved Maya as his own and had already imagined a future filled with shared laughter, school mornings, and family traditions. The thought of welcoming another child did not frighten him. Instead, it filled him with a quiet sense of responsibility and joy. He saw it as a chance to give even more love, to build a home where warmth and understanding would never be lacking. As he looked at Huyen, he realized that her wish was also becoming his own. That night, they talked for a long time about their hopes, their fears, and the kind of parents they wanted to be. There was no pressure, no rush, only mutual respect and tenderness. They agreed that if fate and love allowed, they would welcome another child into their lives. The decision felt natural, almost inevitable, as if it had already been written into their story. Wrapped in each other's arms, with Maya sleeping peacefully in the next room, Huyen and Day silently embraced the future, unaware that their quiet wish would soon blossom into a beautiful reality. Only a month after they made their heartfelt decision, subtle changes began to appear in Huyen's daily life. At first, she dismissed them as signs of exhaustion, the natural result of adjusting to a new routine after marriage. Yet, the fatigue lingered in a way she had not felt before. Each morning, her body felt heavier, as if every movement required more effort than usual. The aroma of food she once loved suddenly made her uncomfortable, and meals that had always brought comfort now left her with little appetite. Though she tried to hide it behind gentle smiles, her reflection in the mirror told a different story, one of quiet confusion mixed with a growing sense of anticipation. As the days passed, a familiar intuition began to stir within her. Only a month after they made their heartfelt decision, subtle changes began to appear in Huyen's daily life. At first, she dismissed them as signs of exhaustion, the natural result of adjusting to a new routine after marriage. Yet, the fatigue lingered in a way she had not felt before. Each morning, her body felt heavier, as if every movement required more effort than usual. The aroma of food she once loved suddenly made her uncomfortable, and meals that had always brought comfort now left her with little appetite. Though she tried to hide it behind gentle smiles, her reflection in the mirror told a different story, one of quiet confusion mixed with a growing sense of anticipation. As the days passed, a familiar intuition began to stir within her. It was a feeling she recognized from long ago, buried beneath time and memory, yet unmistakable in its presence. Her heart started to race at the thought she had been carefully avoiding. What if this was not simple tiredness? What if the life growing around her was already preparing a new surprise? The idea filled her with both excitement and hesitation, as though she were standing at the edge of something beautiful and unknown. One calm morning, when the house was still and Maya was busy with her own little world, Huyen quietly stepped outside and headed to a nearby pharmacy. The walk felt longer than usual, each step echoing with her thoughts. She bought a pregnancy test, her hands trembling slightly as she placed it in her bag. Even before she returned home, her heart was already beating faster, torn between hope and fear. She told herself not to expect too much, yet deep inside, a soft voice whispered that her life was about to change. Back home, the moments of waiting felt endless. Time seemed to slow as she followed the instructions, her breath shallow, her mind racing with images of the future. When the result finally appeared, 2 clear pink lines stared back at her, quietly yet firmly confirming the truth. For a few seconds, Huyen could only stand there, frozen, as if the world had paused to let the meaning sink in. Then emotion rushed over her like a gentle wave. Tears filled her eyes, not from shock, but from overwhelming happiness. She pressed a hand against her mouth, trying to hold back a soft laugh that escaped between her tears. Slowly, she placed her palm on her abdomen, a tender smile forming on her lips. In that simple gesture, she felt a deep connection, a silent conversation beginning between mother and child. Gratitude, love, and hope blended into a single feeling that warmed her from within. In that quiet space, Huyen understood that her wish, once spoken softly in the glow of an evening sky, had already found its way into reality, bringing with it the promise of new life and endless love. That evening, as the soft glow of the living room lights wrapped the house in warmth, Huyen waited for the right moment to tell Day the news that was overflowing in her heart. Her hands rested gently over her abdomen, as if guarding a precious secret. When Day finally sat beside her, tired from the day yet smiling as always, Huyen took a deep breath. Without saying a word, she slowly reached into her pocket and held out the pregnancy test, her eyes shining with emotion. The room seemed to fall silent as Day's gaze fixed on the 2 unmistakable lines. For a brief second, he did not move. His mind struggled to catch up with what his eyes were seeing. Then understanding dawned, and his expression transformed completely. Surprise melted into joy, and joy into a happiness so deep it left him breathless. "I'm going to be a father," he whispered, almost to himself, as if saying it aloud would make the moment real. His voice trembled, carrying both awe and gratitude. In that instant, the world outside faded away, leaving only the two of them and the life quietly beginning between them. Day stood up and pulled Huyen into his arms, holding her tightly yet carefully, as though she were made of something fragile and sacred. His embrace was filled with unspoken promises of protection, devotion, and endless love. Huyen leaned into him, her tears soaking into his shoulder, her heart overflowing with relief and happiness. They stayed like that for a long moment, breathing together, letting the truth of their new reality settle gently into their souls. Slowly, Day knelt in front of Huyen and placed his hands softly on her stomach. His touch was warm and reverent, filled with a tenderness that surprised even himself. A smile curved his lips as he leaned closer, lowering his voice as if afraid to disturb the tiny miracle within. He spoke to the baby with quiet affection, telling them to grow strong, to be patient, and to wait for the day they would meet their parents face to face. His words were simple, but they carried a depth of emotion that filled the room with love. Huyen watched him with eyes full of admiration, feeling more certain than ever that she had chosen the right partner to walk through life with. In that moment, she saw not just her husband, but a father, gentle, devoted, and ready to give his whole heart. As Day looked up at her, their eyes met, and no words were needed. They shared a smile that held gratitude, excitement, and a quiet promise to face whatever the future might bring together. That night, as they lay side by side, listening to the peaceful rhythm of their home, Day kept his hand resting protectively over Huyen's. The future felt closer than ever, filled with anticipation and hope. Between them, a new life was already weaving its way into their story, sealing their love with a bond that would only grow stronger with time.
Hello, hello everyone. Wish you have a wonderful early day. Xin chào tất cả các khán giả của kênh Live Single RV. Vậy là câu chuyện của chúng ta ngày hôm nay đã kết thúc tại đây. Trong câu chuyện của chúng ta ngày hôm nay thì đã có những tình tiết rất là mới lạ. Đó chính là việc Huyền đã có thai với Đệ. Đó chính là Huyền đang mang trong mình đứa con của Đệ. Đó chính là kết quả của tình yêu của Huyền và Đệ sau những ngày tháng gian khó. Giây phút Đệ biết rằng Huyền đang mang thai, anh đã vỡ òa trong hạnh phúc. Vậy là từ giờ anh đã chính thức được trở làm bố và may đã có thêm một em bé. Sau khi biết Huyền đã có mang thai con thì Đệ đã đề nghị là sẽ đưa Huyền đi khám thai để kiểm tra sức khỏe của cả mẹ và thai nhi. Buổi khám thai đã diễn ra rất là suôn sẻ. Bác sĩ thông báo là tình trạng của thai nhi phát triển rất là bình thường. Huyền cần nghỉ ngơi nhiều hơn và Đệ cần phải chăm sóc và quan tâm cô nhiều hơn nữa, bởi vì phụ nữ trong thời kỳ mang thai sẽ có rất là nhiều cảm xúc thay đổi đột ngột. Điều đó cần có Đệ thường xuyên ở bên cạnh cô, chăm sóc và giúp đỡ cô. Mọi tình tiết hấp dẫn về câu chuyện tình yêu Huyền, Đệ cũng như cuộc sống xoay xung quanh họ sẽ còn được kể các video tiếp theo. Các bạn đừng quên bấm vào nút đăng ký kênh để nhận được thông báo mới nhất về câu chuyện sẽ được phát sóng hàng ngày trên kênh nha. Xin cảm ơn. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại các bạn vào ngày mai. Bye bye and see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.